Good day to everybody. We are meeting again through Ranavir Associates YouTube channel Tax Talk to discuss the taxation in Sri Lanka. Today we are to discuss the tax residency through video clip number 4. Tax education video session number 4, tax residency. Now, under the Inland Revenue Act, under Section 69 of the Inland Revenue Act, it talks about the tax residency. Now, we will discuss the points thereon in detail. Why the tax residency is important? Why it is important? It is important to tax a person. Under Section 4 of the Inland Revenue Act, it says a resident person is to pay income tax on the world income, the income from Sri Lanka as well as from other countries. Then, in the case of a non-resident person, should pay tax on the income arises in or from Sri Lanka. As a result, now as the basis of taxation on a resident person and a non-resident person is different. First of all, we should know who is a resident person and who is a non-resident person for taxation in Sri Lanka. This is nothing to do with the immigration and immigration residency. Now we will see the conditions separately. Now we will take each type of person separately, like individuals, partnerships, companies, and trust. In the case of an individual, there are some conditions. Now we will see what are the conditions given in the Section 69 of the Inland Revenue Act. It says, if an individual resides in Sri Lanka, then if present in Sri Lanka aggregate to more than 183 days in any 12-month period, commences or ending during the year of assessment. Now when we take the year of assessment 2020-21, from any date or to up to any date, if we'll calculate backward 12 months or in front 12 months, during that period, if one individual present in Sri Lanka for more than 183 days, then we take him as a resident for Sri Lanka taxation. Then the third one, if a government official or employee and a spouse posted abroad, or if employed on a ship, Sri Lanka ship, during the period of employment, he is considered as a resident of Sri Lanka. That means now this particular employee may be out of Sri Lanka for more than 183 days. But even then, when we take a ship of Sri Lanka, we consider it as part of the Sri Lanka land. As a result, we consider him being in Sri Lanka, physically in Sri Lanka for all purposes. Now, even in the government services, if we'll send an employee abroad, we'll say for embassy service, then even this particular employee is out of the country for more than 183 days, we continue to consider him as a Sri Lanka resident. I think it is clear. Yeah. Next, we'll take the partnerships. In the case of partnerships, there are two conditions. One is if formed in Sri Lanka, not registered, it is formed in Sri Lanka. It may be registered in Sri Lanka, or maybe an agreement signed in Sri Lanka, or it may be a verbal partnership in Sri Lanka. Either case, it is formed in Sri Lanka. Then the second condition, or management and control of affairs of the partnership is carried out in Sri Lanka, exercised in Sri Lanka. That means partnership may be in abroad, but the management and control of a partnership, which may be outside Sri Lanka even, it consider, if it is happening in Sri Lanka, then we consider it as a Sri Lanka resident partnership. Now we'll move to companies. Companies. In the case of company, there are three conditions. One is incorporated or formed under laws of Sri Lanka. Incorporated, that's a normal company which we are incorporating under the Companies Act number 7 of 2007. But under the definition, as per the definition of companies in Inland Revenue Act, even the normal companies what we have incorporated, any company which are not covered under the companies incorporated under the Companies Act even covers. As a result, they have used the word formed under the laws of Sri Lanka. That is the first condition. Then the second, if it is registered or the principal office is in Sri Lanka. If it is registered, an example is a branch office. Now, when an overseas company come and register a branch office in Sri Lanka, they are not incorporating a new company. What they are doing is they register a branch office in Sri Lanka. Then that is also considered under the company. The principal office is in Sri Lanka. Suppose the principal office of a company is in Sri Lanka. The company may be in abroad, registered in abroad, but the principal office is in Sri Lanka. Then that is also to be considered as a resident company. Then third, management and control affairs of the company is exercised in Sri Lanka. If the management and control exercise in Sri Lanka, even the company is actually operating in overseas or registered in overseas, that consider as a Sri Lankan resident company. Therefore, there are these three other conditions. Now, if we'll see these conditions, these conditions are different from the old law, that is 2006 law. In the 2006 law, instead of if it is registered, the word what they used is where a company or body of person has its registered or principal office in Sri Lanka. Normally, a company is having only one registered office. When we call principal office, there should be only one principal office. But as for the new act, the wording is if it is registered, not the word it's registered office. As a result, under the old law, a branch office was a non-resident company. But under the new law, all branch offices are also to be considered as resident companies. Then trust. We'll see how to consider a trust residency situation. Trust. If it was established in Sri Lanka, that is the condition number one. If it is established in Sri Lanka, how we are establishing trust? By signing a trust deed. There's no mandatory requirement of registering. Then the number two, at any time, a trustee of the trust is resident in Sri Lanka. At any time, a trustee of the trust is resident in Sri Lanka. Or the third condition, a Sri Lankan resident person directs or influences the trust management decisions. Then it is to be considered as a resident trust for tax purposes. Now with these things, there are other complications arising through these things. Implications on tax residency. Things like some persons may be resident for taxation in more than one country. Now when it is more than one country, Now, in each country, they have to consider the world income for taxation as per the laws of those countries. Then, how are those issues managed? It is very, in that case, each country, as per the each country's tax law, we have to apply the taxation. Then, some persons may not be resident for tax in any country. Suppose he is not in one country, there may be a situation like that. As a tax planning, I know some people, some individuals, they do this. Then why double tax treaties or agreements required? Now, Sri Lanka has signed almost about 44 double tax treaties with other countries, 44 agreements. Now, why it is needed? It is needed to avoid double taxation. It is to avoid double taxation. Then, as I explained, we have already signed so many double tax agreements, and we are applying those double tax treaties. Then that's all for today's session. Now we'll be meeting again through another video clip, that is the video clip number 5. Through that we will study each of the assessable income. Now, as we learn, there are 4 sources of assessable income. We should learn each and every assessable income in detailed form. We will start learning assessable income in depth through video clip number 5 onward. I would like to thank you for giving the opportunity for me to share my knowledge with you all. Thank you.